Okay, so yesterday, Ad Hoc released the final two episodes of Dispatch, and I wanted to make this video just talking about my overall opinions of the season, talking about episode 7 and 8. This video will have spoilers, so if you haven't played the full season of Dispatch, I'm going to be spoiling everything from the first episode for the last episode. I'm just gonna be talking about I'm gonna be talking about everything that's happened in this game, and just give my overall thoughts and opinions on the game as a whole. And yeah, talking about like going over, episode 7 and episode 8. I gotta say, bro, like these last two episodes, or especially the last episode, it literally got me to the point where like I was like feeling like, wow, this is probably one of my favorite games of this year. Like just from a story standpoint, mainly from a story standpoint of just like everything and like the choices you had to make and everything. I really enjoyed my time with Dispatch, and I will even go and say that it is one of my favorite games of 2025. Which is really awesome to freaking say, because when it comes to, games like this, I've always wanted to experience like, playing a game like this, experiencing it with like everyone else, seeing the choices that everyone else makes, and seeing how my choices were different from other people's choices, and how similar or maybe different stuff like that like gets me excited. Just like, I don't know, just for like as like a gaming community, like just as like the gaming community, like stuff like this is super cool to me, where like you can get people talking and like theorizing, and just have like so many people talk about a game weekly on, and stuff like that. And so, yeah, I definitely enjoyed my time with Dispatch, talking about episode 7 and 8. Obviously, episode 6 ended with, Chase essentially sacrificing himself. We didn't know if he was going to survive or if he was going to die. And it's revealed in episode 7 that he's still alive. He's basically in the hospital. And the whole episode episode 7 is basically just everyone being depressed. It's basically like the depressed episode. Like, it's raining, everyone's sad. Even like when you go to do like the SDN dispatching segment, like the screen that they have, usually it's like a screen with the whole city laid out. Like in this episode, it's literally raining in the actual like SDN screen or like whatever. And so it's like little details like that are like, I like and stuff like that. Obviously, this whole episode dealt with the consequences, or I guess like the things that or the choices that Invisigal did in episode 6 of trying to find the astral pulse, and basically indirectly causing Chase to sacrifice himself essentially. And so this episode revolves around whether or not you should cut her or whether you should keep Invisigal. And bro, I'm not gonna lie, like going into like this, and I feel like this episode and the next episode really tried to make you second guess whether or not you should trust Invisigal. And obviously there's another scene that happens in this episode that definitely, makes or break, I feel like, your relationship with Invisigal. But I do feel like, because I chose to romance Invisigal, because I originally had chose to romance Blonde Blazer, because that's who I thought I was going to romance in the game. And then Invisigal showed up. Freaking, I did a 180, and it was like, nah, I want this. I want this chick now. I'm gonna try to fix her. But I do think that like this episode and episode 8, like, not trying to say they did it intentionally, but I feel like they did do a good job of trying to make you see whether or not you really did, I guess, right, or like if you like were fully committed to Invisigal. Because I feel like that was definitely important, just because it is revealed that, you know, and this is something that people theorize and people were talking about, that she was the one that put the bomb on the back of the Mecha Man suit back in episode 1, and that, you know, was revealed. And in that moment, I know I have watched other people's like playthroughs, and in that moment, and it's not a majority of people, like it's actually like a pretty small percentage of people who choose not to forgive her in that moment. I chose to forgive her, and like, I guess looking back, was it too quick of a decision to make in that moment of forgive? Like, because I mean, it literally just happened, and so, but in my opinion, the way I went about it and the way I went about playing this whole entire game, and just like the Invisigal character, I see her character as like a person who, honestly, she wants to be a good person. She wants to do good and she wants to be a hero, but she's kind of beholden to the circumstances that she's in. And sometimes she even herself kind of shoots herself in the foot sometimes, basically. I mean, when you look at her like superpowers, she has the powers to go invisible, but she has asthma and she also smokes, which makes, you know, it just makes it harder for her to use her superpowers. So in that sense, I understand that like the character is like flawed and she has all these problems, but at the end of the day, I was willing to stick through with it, even though it did feel like, am I making the right decisions? Am I doing this right? And I feel like it definitely paid off, because at the end of the game, she ends up, because there are two versions of the ending. Like, we're going straight into spoilers. I'm just talking about the game right now. There are two versions of I feel like the ending, especially with Invisigal. She can either become a villain, or she can either not become a villain and actually become a hero. Just dependent on the choices you make with Invisigal, deciding not to neglect her. And what is interesting is that, like, in my thought process when I first finished the game, I didn't know if not romancing Invisigal was the reason why she turned into a villain. But now looking at other people's playthroughs, I was like, or it was like, okay, you don't have to romance her in order for her to not turn evil. And that's what I thought was interesting, because it would have been weird if you had to romance Invisigal in order for her to not become a villain. I feel like that would have been kind of like, I don't want to say messed up, but like kind of like, oh, like why does it have to essentially be like that? But it doesn't. You don't necessarily have to romance Invisigal in order for her to not become a villain. And so I thought that was interesting. There's a lot of small like details that like I just wanted to talk about. One of the things that like stuck out to me is, and I think I learned this today, or I just like, I caught this today, is that if you choose to romance Invisigal, if you choose to romance her in the moment where like at the end where like, you know, Invisigal gets shot and everything, and they're standing on like the roof, they have a moment where like they almost kiss because you romance Invisigal. But if you don't choose to romance Invisigal, she basically, they don't lean into kiss. She just faints in that moment. It's like little things like that where like it's a little thing, it's like a small thing, but it's just like I don't know, it just like it's the little things that add up, you know, especially with like a game like this where you're making choices and everything. And so yeah, just talking about the other, you know, characters. Obviously we meet Shroud in episode 7. We get to basically see his character, and I didn't know how he was going to work as a villain. I didn't know if he was going to be one of those villains who are like, because he doesn't show up for like most of the season. Like he's only in episode 1, and then you don't see him until episode 7 again. So I was kind of wondering if he was going to be a compelling enough villain, or if he was going to be an interesting enough villain for us to follow. But I actually did like Shroud as a villain. Is he the most in-depth, the most like complex villain? No, but he's pretty good. He's pretty menacing, I think. There's a lot of moments where like you're actually low-key kind of like, dang, this dude's got like aura to him. I don't know how to, what did the kids say? Aura farming, whatever, I don't know. But like he has like this thing where he can predict what happens, or he can predict what happens in certain situations. And so there are like certain fight scenes where like he's fighting the Z team, or he's fighting Robert, and he's like predicting what's gonna happen in the moment in order to get the upper hand on the other characters. And there were moments like that where I thought, yeah, this is actually really cool. But even like talking about like the voice acting in this game, I think everyone does a pretty good job. Like from, you know, Maurice Critical's character to like Aaron Paul's, you know, character of Robert, you know, and everything. I think everyone in this game does a pretty good job. I really enjoy the voice acting in this game. It's kind of interesting because, you know, I guess maybe for some people going into this game, they were thinking, oh, they got Jacksepticeye or they got Maurice Critical. The voice acting is not gonna be that good, or like or whatever, and that's probably what some people thought. But in my opinion, I think they did a pretty good job, especially, you know, for Jacksepticeye and Maurice Critical. You know, them not being like veteran, seasoned voice actors like Laura Bailey or anything like that. I think they did a pretty good job for like what they were given and everything. And so, yeah, definitely the voice acting, just like the writing in this game is really good. This is a superhero comedy essentially, and I think it does succeed in the comedy aspect. There are a lot of funny moments that happened in this game where I was laughing.
She temporarily blinded me! What you mean temporarily? Bitch, you blind forever!
And this is also a superhero story, and so those things combined, I really enjoyed. I always enjoy superheroes, talking about superheroes, anything that has to do with, you know, that genre of story or like whatever. And I think this game succeeds in, you know, the comedy aspect, superhero aspect, it being a choice-based game. All those things, I feel like they succeed on. Talking about the actual gameplay of Dispatch, obviously I've talked about it in other videos, but like the main thing that this game offers, I feel like in terms of gameplay, you know, it is a choice-based game, so it does have moments of, you know, quick time events, you know, making choices, but also I would say the main gameplay loop of this game is the dispatching and everything. And going into this game, I was just generally interested to see whether or not throughout the whole entire game they could make me still interested and not get, I guess, bored of the dispatching segments of this game. And I feel like I can say that they succeeded, but like it still wasn't my favorite part of the game. Like if I was to pick a favorite thing about this game, or the thing I enjoyed the most, it was making choices and the storytelling and the writing and everything like that, in just the story in general. When it comes to the actual dispatching part of the game, I enjoyed it. I it never got to a point where I was like, oh, we got to come back to this, or we got to do this again. But it still wasn't my favorite part, but like, it got me, especially since I was invested in the characters in the story. I definitely was more, I feel like, invested in actually doing the dispatching, making choices, you know, sending certain heroes to certain situations, and having the story affect even the dispatching side of the actual game as well. Because there would be certain points where like there might be a choice that you make in an episode that affects how well a certain teammate does on like on a dispatching segment or like whatever like that. Or there might be something else that affects whether or not a character is going to succeed or like whatever. And there's moments, there are moments like that that keep me still interested. And there are even just like story elements of like interweaving the story in with the actual you know, dispatching and everything that I, you know, enjoyed. And so on that front, it still wasn't my favorite part of the game. And we also talking about like the puzzles, they're all also like these puzzles that you got to do. I will say, I feel like, and maybe because there weren't like a lot of them throughout the whole entire game, so I really couldn't get like used to them or anything. I did feel like, especially with the puzzles, I don't know if I was just bad at them. I probably was just bad at them, because I have seen other people play this, and like for them, I guess it just, I don't know, comes easily, or it comes naturally, or like they're just better at it. But like when it came to like the certain puzzles, and like it got to the point where like you would have like this red ball, or like the others antivirus like chase you around like freaking Pac-Man, like freaking Pac-Man. It did get to the point where it's like, oh bro, I can't, like, I don't know, like maybe I'm just bad at it, but like I would like die constantly to those things. I would mess up sometimes on like the hacking parts or like whatever. But I mean, it was nice that like it didn't like overall affect any like major choices or anything like that. There were just like small little gameplay segments that you had to do. But I mean, yeah, other than that, overall I enjoyed the gameplay aspect of dispatching. But I will say, yeah, the story, the writing, the characters, those are the things that stuck out to me while playing this game. Also, talking about the music in this game, I really enjoyed the music in this game. There's a lot of licensed music that they have in this game as well, especially like, you know, during like the end credit sequences of this game. They have licensed music, and a lot of the licensed music is actually good. I know one of the characters in this game, Prism, is actually voice acted by a real life, I guess, artist, Thought Squad. And some of her, I think 2 of her songs are in this game, and both of those songs are pretty good. Before this game, I didn't know about Thought Squad, and so this game basically introduced me to a whole bunch of new songs, and I really like that. And not only is the licensed music good in this game, I would say even just like the original score in this game is good as well. Like I enjoy like the it kind of has like this, I don't know if like this might be just me, but it kind of has like this old school like VHS kind of like workout music vibe to it, I guess, with some of the songs that they have in this game. At least to me, that's what I thought. But yeah, the music is also another thing that I really enjoyed. I really hope that they release the original score on Spotify or like, you know, streaming platforms, because it's only on YouTube right now, and I would definitely like to add some of the songs that they have in the game onto my Spotify. So that would be cool. But I mean, if they do that, if they don't, that would suck, but hopefully they do. So talking about the ending, obviously you have the major decision of, I talked about it a little bit with like the Invisigal romance, but obviously in this game you can end up, you know, if you choose, or if you I guess if you play it right, and you get on Invisigal's good side and you, I guess, mentor her the right way, she doesn't become a villain. But obviously, if you just neglect her and if you just don't try to help at all, she basically ends up killing Shroud and becoming a villain at the end of the game. And that choice of, like, you know, giving Shroud the Astral Pulse, in that moment I was like, because it's like that, I mean, that's one of my favorite things about this game, is like how it makes you have to, like, for me at least, there were like moments or like major choices where like I literally had to pause the game and like think about it for a second, because I wanted to make sure I made the right choice in the right moment, or I like the right choice for me at least. And in that moment of giving him the freaking Astral Pulse or like whatever, you have the option to give him both, to give him the Astral Pulse or just give him the Proto Pulse. And I gave him both, and that basically ended in him having to choose. It basically ended with him having to choose which one was the actual Astral Pulse, because they both look identical.
So, don't fucking test me. What the fuck is this, Robert?
You said you wanted the Astral Pulse. I gave it to you. One of those is it.
They look fucking identical, Robert.
Look, you're right. I can't outsmart you. Because, you know what? I'm not a smart guy. So, the only way to keep you from knowing what I'm doing is to not have any idea what I'm doing.
Maybe we wait till we get home?
Shut the fuck up!
And so I thought that was like a cool way to like fake out the villain, because he can literally predict everything, and he can't predict which one is the actual Astral Pulse because they both look the same. And so he ends up like picking the wrong one, and then he ends up like throwing up. But in that moment, he basically pulls like a gun out on you, and he basically tries to shoot you. And if you have if you play the game right, I guess, or if you do certain things, you can get Invisigal to take a bullet for you essentially. And in that moment, freaking, you get mad, you get pissed off, and you freaking start punching on Shroud, and you have the choice to not kill Shroud or to kill Shroud. And this is a major thing that, like, especially when it comes to superhero stories, or when it just comes to superheroes in general, the idea of what like a hero is, and especially to me at least with certain heroes, you know, when I think about my favorite superheroes, I think of like Batman, or I think about Daredevil. And the reason why those are my favorite superheroes is because they have this code, or they have like this thing of like, I'm not going to kill you because it's not up to me, and it's up to the law to decide something like that. And I don't know, just that idea of like not, you know, duping or not succumbing to the lows of like a villain, and like taking the moral high ground is like, it's just a thing that I've always liked about certain superheroes. Obviously you have like anti-heroes, and you have heroes who do kill, but like the ones that I enjoy the most, I think, are the ones who don't kill, who do take that moral high ground and don't kill essentially. And so in that moment, I chose not to kill Shroud in that moment, just because, I don't know, for like, you know, especially with like superhero stories, to me at least, one of the most important things is, you know, for me, you know, a hero is a person who doesn't kill, is a person who does, you know, they rise above whatever, you know, bull crap the villain is throwing at them, or like whatever issues that they're going through, or like whatever. And so, yeah, in that moment, that's what I chose. I know for some other people, they chose to kill Shroud, but for me, I thought it was important, especially for like a superhero story, that I didn't kill him in that moment. So yeah.
Laser always did have a soft spot for helpless losers.
Fuck off.
Yeah, so overall, man, I enjoyed my time with Dispatch. I did hear that this game possibly could get a season 2. There have been like interviews with the people at Ad Hoc that like since the first season was so successful, there is a more likelihood of possibly getting a season 2 of this game. And I would definitely like a season 2 of this game, but if I also am going to be completely honest, if this game doesn't get a season 2, I think I will be perfectly fine with that too. Just because, especially how this game wraps up and the choices that you make of like, for example, Invisigal becoming a villain based on your choices or her not becoming a villain. I feel like with that, I don't know, there are just certain choices in this game where I feel like if they were to do a season 2, how would that work out in terms of like, what do you choose that's canon? What do you choose that, you know, I don't know. I just feel like it's a little complicated. And not everything necessarily needs another season, I feel like. But I don't know, if they were to do another season, obviously I would play it because the first season was good. So hopefully the next season would be good too, as well, or the second season would be good as well. But if they don't do another season, honestly, I'm okay with that too. But yeah, man, I enjoyed my time with Dispatch. If I was to give this game a score, I would probably give it a 9 out of 10. I really did enjoy this game. Like I said, man, this is my favorite game of 2025. Do I think it's going to get nominated for Game of the Year? That's another question. I don't know. That's another, I don't know. I feel like this game definitely, if it was to win an award, I mean, do I even think it'll win Game of the Year? No. I mean, for me at least, Expedition 33 is still, in my opinion, the clear-cut winner for Game of the Year still. But if this game got like nominated for like best narrative or best like storytelling and it won that, I wouldn't be surprised because like I said, the writing, the storytelling, the comedy, all of that stuff worked for me flawlessly. And so, yeah, man, I wouldn't be surprised if this got nominated for some awards at the, you know, Game Awards or like any other award, you know, thing or like whatever. But yeah, man, those were my thoughts and opinions on Dispatch, on the final 2 episodes. In the comments down below, have you played Dispatch? And if you have, did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? Leave all your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. And I will see you guys on the next one. So yeah, bye.